The wind whipped through the crowded park like it was carrying secrets, but no one seemed to notice the two tiny figures sitting alone on the worn wooden bench near the fountain. People passed by them without turning their heads, mothers pulling their children away, teenagers laughing loudly, couples so wrapped in their own worlds that the quiet desperation of the twins went unseen. But the single dad standing near the ice cream cart felt something in the air shift the moment he noticed them. It was the stillness around the pair, the way their small shoulders curled inward, the way their eyes darted from face to face with fragile hope before dropping again. He didn't know their story yet, but something deep inside him whispered, they've been waiting for someone, and maybe, just maybe, he had been waiting for them too. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and silent miracles, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Silent Hope. Your support helps us reach more hearts with stories that remind the world to care. The single dad's name was Daniel, a man shaped by both tenderness and scars. For years he had carried the weight of his own silent battles while trying to build a gentle world for his daughter Emily. She was 8, bright-eyed and full of questions that kept him grounded when life tried to pull him down. He had learned to become father and mother in one, nurturing her in the softest ways while protecting her with a strength he never knew he possessed. Losing his wife to illness had carved a void inside him, one that echoed every night when he tucked Emily into bed and kissed her forehead alone. But he kept going, because parents like him didn't have the luxury of falling apart. They stitched themselves together every morning for the sake of a child who looked at them like they were the only universe worth believing in. That day at the park had been meant as a break, a moment of joy after a hard week of double shifts at the warehouse. He had promised Emily they would get ice cream and watch the ducks at the pond. But the look on the twins' faces, two fragile, pale little faces so similar they mirrored each other's pain, pulled his heart in a direction he did not expect. Emily tugged on his hand, following his gaze. At just 8 years old, she was already sensitive to the emotions of others, carrying a kindness that reflected her mother's gentleness. "Dad," she whispered, almost afraid of breaking the strange stillness around them. "Why do they look so sad?" Daniel didn't answer at first. He watched as the twins sat motionless, their hands resting on their laps, their small feet dangling above the ground. They weren't talking. They weren't playing. They weren't even trying to chase each other the way siblings often did. They were silent, terribly, profoundly silent, as if they had accepted a world that refused to see them. That was when he realized something. The way they observed conversations without responding, the way their eyes flickered to people's mouths trying to read lips, the way their hands moved subtly, shaping small gestures they seemed too hesitant to finish. They were deaf, and the world around them had no idea how to reach them, or didn't care enough to try. Daniel felt something inside him break open. His sister had been deaf. He had grown up using sign language to make sure she never felt alone, and though she had passed away years ago, the language remained in his hands like a memory that lived in muscle and bone. As he stepped toward the twins, Emily followed closely. Daniel moved slowly, carefully, making sure they saw him approach. The twins watched him with wide, guarded eyes, fear mixed with longing. They tightened their shoulders as if preparing for disappointment. Daniel knelt in front of them, bringing himself to their level. His heart pounded, not out of fear, but out of the hope that he could give them something they hadn't received in a long time. He raised his hands, gently, and he signed a simple word, "Hello." The effect was immediate, like a crack of sunlight breaking through heavy clouds. The twins' eyes widened, filling with disbelief, then trembling with sudden emotion neither of them knew how to hide. Their small hands flew upward, answering him with an excited, shaky hello of their own. One of the girls covered her mouth as tears spilled down her cheeks. The other blinked rapidly, trying to hold hers back, but failing. Daniel felt his throat tighten. He signed again, slowly, clearly. "Are you okay?" The twin on the right, he later learned her name was Lily, looked down and shook her head. The other, Mia, swallowed and looked around the park with a kind of exhaustion no child should ever carry. Daniel didn't push. Instead, he sat beside them, offering the space and time they needed. Emily sat on the bench too, smiling softly, as if she instinctively understood that patience was a kind of love. As minutes turned into an unspoken bond, the twins began signing more. They told him they had been at the park for hours. Their mother worked long shifts and often they had nowhere else to go. People ignored them. Some stared, some laughed. No one tried to understand. They felt invisible, unwanted, a burden. By the time their mother rushed into the park, sweaty, breathless, terrified, Daniel understood the weight of everything these little girls had been carrying. Her name was Anna, a woman exhausted by life's battles, juggling 3 jobs, drowning in bills, raising twins alone in a world that didn't make space for families like hers. When she saw Daniel signing fluently with her daughters, her knees nearly gave out. She clutched her chest, overwhelmed not by fear but by relief, because someone had finally seen them. For the next several weeks, fate kept nudging their paths together. Some would call it coincidence. Daniel would later believe it was something far more intentional. Every Saturday, he and Emily ended up in the same park at the same hour the twins arrived. It became their quiet ritual, one none of them announced aloud but all of them cherished deeply. And during those afternoons, Daniel taught the girls new signs. Emily played games with them. They laughed, learned, and slowly bloomed in a way Anna had never seen before. Daniel didn't know when his involvement shifted from concern to attachment. Maybe it was the way Mia hugged him tightly one day when she learned a difficult sign. Maybe it was the way Lily clung to Emily as if she had discovered a sister she never knew she needed. Or maybe it was the way Anna's smile softened more each week, her eyes lingering on him with gratitude, and something else, something fragile and unspoken. Still, Daniel remained careful. He didn't want to overstep. He knew single parents carried pride along with fatigue, and help often felt like pity. But Anna surprised him. One rainy afternoon, she approached him with trembling lips and said in halting words that she didn't want to accept the world's cruelty as her children's fate anymore. She asked if he would teach her sign language too, so he did, slowly, patiently, tenderly. Their evenings together became a small circle of warmth, 4 children's hands flying through the air with joy, 2 adults sharing the quiet intimacy of healing. Daniel noticed how Anna watched her daughters proudly when they signed full sentences. Anna noticed how Daniel lit up when Emily giggled. Somewhere in the middle of teaching and learning, 2 broken families began mending each other's missing pieces. But life, unpredictable as always, tested them. One evening, Anna didn't show up at the park. Hours passed, the sky darkened, the twins grew anxious, signing fearfully to Daniel, "Mom never late." Panic rose in his chest. He kept them close, waited as long as he could, then made the decision to drive them home. When they reached Anna's tiny apartment, they found her collapsed near the door, exhausted, dehydrated, having worked a 30-hour stretch to pay overdue bills. Daniel called an ambulance, held the twins tightly as they cried, and waited beside Anna until help arrived. At the hospital, while machines beeped softly and doctors rushed around them, Daniel held Anna's hand. She blinked weakly, guilt spreading across her face as she apologized over and over in broken whispers. Daniel shook his head. He told her, through words and signs, that she was not alone, not anymore. She didn't have to carry everything by herself. When Anna was discharged days later, she returned home to find meals prepared, her apartment cleaned, the twins excitedly showing her new signs they had learned from Daniel and Emily. And in that small living room, surrounded by love she had once believed impossible, Anna finally let herself cry. From that day forward, their lives intertwined naturally, beautifully. Daniel helped with babysitting. Anna helped Emily with homework. The children became inseparable. Kindness became a bridge between 2 families who had once felt broken, and slowly, affection blossomed into something deeper. Daniel found himself looking forward to Anna's tired smile at the end of her shifts. Anna found comfort in the strength and calm he carried. They healed each other without even realizing it. Months later, on a golden evening with soft light filtering through the park trees, the twins signed something to Daniel that made his eyes sting. "You are like Dad." And Emily, standing beside him, added softly, "Maybe we can be a bigger family one day." Anna watched all of them, her hands trembling, her heart full. She stepped closer to Daniel, her voice barely a whisper, and said the words she had been carrying for a long time. "You were the first person who saw them. Daniel looked at her, the weight of the moment settling in his chest like a promise. "And you were the first person who saw me," he replied. They didn't kiss. They didn't rush into declarations. Instead, their hands intertwined, slowly, gently, the way two people who knew pain understood how precious healing was. As the sun dipped behind the trees, the twins giggled and signed family. Emily beamed. Anna wiped a tear. Daniel exhaled a breath he felt he had been holding for years. Sometimes miracles don't arrive with noise or spectacle. Sometimes they arrive as a simple hello signed by hands that remember love. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Silent Hope. Your support helps us continue bringing meaningful stories to those who need them the most. Before the ending, please drop a comment sharing which moment moved you the most. And with that, their story, born from silence, became a reminder that compassion speaks louder than words ever could.